Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the channel. Great to see you. It always is. I hope you're well. 3 new tournaments for us today. We've got 2 on the clay over in Austria and in Croatia, and we've got 1 on the hard court over in Washington. Get your comments in with your predictions. Anything I'm going for personally will be in that pinned comment where it always is. Like the video, if you'd be so kind, get yourself subscribed to the channel. If you're not already, we do continue to grow each and every day. You can support the channel if you want, and we'll waste no more time with it. First things first, before we get into these, we managed to finish up rather nicely last week. Back-to-back winners with El Chapo and Bublik. Happy days. I appreciate that, boys. Thank you very much. But now we go again. We shall go again, as always. First off for us, over in Austria. So we've got Francisco Comesana and Tristan Boyer. Now, straight off the bat, I'll just say this. It's going to be Comesana, or it would have to be Comesana. I'm fully expecting him to win this. Call it 1.2. 1.2 for Comesana. Tristan Boyer is a massive dog in this. They have played each other twice before on the clay. Once earlier on in the season, that went the way of the Argentine. Close match, 7-5, and then a tie-break. And then he beat him last year on the clay too. It was yet another close match. I'd be surprised if this one was as close. I mean, Tristan Boyer just hasn't seemed to get fired in this season. 13 wins, 21 losses, 3-11 on the clay. That's not exactly what you need to see coming up against Francisco Comesana on the dirt. 18 wins, 13 losses. It's unfortunate that he ran into Bublik last week. Not much you can do about that. But he looked fairly decent leading up to it. Weren't too good on the grass, as we've mentioned, but he does the majority of the damage over on the dirt, and I expect him to do all the damage in this one. I don't really know how he's going to take it. I mean, 1.2, it's the smallest of parlay pieces. I probably wouldn't go anywhere near that today. We have just seen him play a couple of days ago as well, so not only is it the first round, there's a few of them playing this week that we've seen last week, so you know how these quick turnarounds can affect some of them, so just keep that in your thoughts if you will. But Comesana should be getting this one done every single day of the week. Tristan Boyer is currently on a 5-game losing streak now. Played a Lycema last week over in Bastad, and we pretty much knew we weren't going to win that, although it was a lot closer than I expected. I imagine Comesana is going to be a lot tougher today for him to get past, so like I said, at 1.2, there's probably no business to be done there, but it'll be Comesana all day. And then we've got Alexander Shevchenko, Daniel Galan. Same probably applies to this one. You'd look at it and go, maybe Shevchenko, he did play last week. And he ran into Bublik too, prior to the Comesana match. And there weren't a lot that he could do either. Not a lot that he could do. He did look decent first time out against Stan Wawrinka, but maybe a straight set win over Stan Wawrinka in the current day. Maybe that doesn't hold as much weight as it once did. Well, that's neither here nor there. These have played each other once before, hard court last year. Pretty much as close as it can get. 2 tie breaks and then 7-5 in the third for Shevchenko. Now, I'd have said Daniel Galan does the most of the damage on the clay, so if you're keeping it that close on the hard court, I know it was last year, but I don't know. I'd quite fancy him to keep it at least within range. You could probably even just take this one anyway. He's the smallest of dogs. Maybe that's because Shevchenko played that week. He's been really good on the clay this season, well better than what he was last year. 17-15 on the dirt. Daniel Galan 26-15. Like I say, when anytime you see this guy win, it's pretty much always on the clay. How's Shevchenko going to be after? He only played 2 games last week, so he should be good to go. It'll be 3-4 days ago when he played Bublik. Yeah, you should be fine. Daniel Galan did beat Botic van der Sandschulp over in the Bundesliga 2 weeks ago. You take from that what you will. I'm not going to be touching this one. I would not be touching this one even if I did. It's a rough one with Shevchenko. It's not that I can't seem to get it right with him, but there's times where you go, he'll play good, and he doesn't, and there's times where you'll bet against them, and he'll play unbelievable. So I do think on the day Shevchenko probably possesses a bit more in the bag than what Galan does, so I probably would just lean with him, but I'm not picking it with much conviction, if any at all. So we'll move on to this is Martin Fuscovics, and I'd say this kid's name is Joel Schwaerzler. We seen him last year on the clay, 29 and 17 on the surface. He's the home guy, and he playing at home got himself a wild card in this. Look, ITF, mainly just ITF and Challenger. That does seem to be the level for this guy at the moment. He is only 19 years old, so very young, especially compared to Martin Fuscovics. Anyway, this guy's got bags of experience. 29 and 17, like I said, for the Austrian. 10 and 8 for Martin Fuscovics. Not the best clay record. Doesn't really tend to do that much damage over on the clay anyway, but you have to admit the level of opponent is night and day when we're comparing the two. Now, last time out, we seen Fuscovics over in Wimbledon. Third round, he got beat by Ben Shelton. There's no shame in that. Now, his opponent is playing good, like I say. He seems to be in decent form over on the clay, but if you look at the opponent, it's not much to write home about. He has reached back-to-back finals over on the ITF Tour. For those that care how much weight that holds, I really couldn't tell you. Probably not a lot when we're dealing with the likes of Martin Fuscovics. I feel like you don't need me to tell you. You should have more than enough to get past this kid today. I feel like just playing at home sometimes, having the home advantage, it only does so much for you, especially in a spot like this. Martin Fuscovics 1.35. It's small, it's steep, but I would be very, very shocked if he was to get upset today. 100%. So I'll be going with Martin Fuscovics in that, if anything. And then we've got Rinderknech. And is that Facundo Bagnis? Oh my god. Am I saying his name correctly? Is it Bagnis, or it's not just Bagnis, is it? It's got to be Bagnis or something like that. Someone will let me know in the comments. But yeah, we've got these two. Fuck me, this is rough. This is a rough one. They've played each other once. That was 2 years ago. Over in Gaston, so the tournament we seen last week on the clay. 6-2, 6-2, 6-3. Bit of a shit show. I did not like what I seen from Rinderknech over in Gaston last week. Not at all. It appears to me that we're most definitely not on the grass anymore. Rinderknech before the grass campaign was rather poor indeed. He started to redeem himself a little bit over on the grass, put in some solid performances, 7 and 5. Started off 1 and 8 on the hard court, 1 and 2 indoors, 7-5 on the grass, 5 and 9 on the clay. And that transition game back to the clay against Francesco Pesaro was very, very concerning. Now, is it just a little bit of fatigue after the grass campaign? I'm not too sure. He had plenty of time off in between those two. It just looked like he never stood a chance. 6-1, 7-5. And he had the best year, to be fair. 14 wins, 24 losses. It's not that great. But his opponent, though, on the other hand, 5 years older than him. 6 wins, 7 losses. 6 and 6 on the clay, 0 and 1 on the grass. This guy pretty much only ever plays on the clay, to be fair. 646 wins, 398 losses as a whole on the career. 44-63 on the hard court, and then he's barely touched anything else. So if this guy's going to win a game, and it's not looking like he's doing much of that, well, I'd say anymore, but most definitely this season, who are you going to go with here? Someone who's went 6 and 7 on the year, or someone who's went 14 and 24? Rinderknech is used to dealing with much more tougher opponents on the day than this. Providing he's fit, I would expect him to come in and absolutely smoke this guy, but I don't know. He looked really bad last time out. Completely different opponents, different surfaces, different conditions. I know that. Maybe he just weren't feeling himself. What is the price, you may ask? 1.55 for the Frenchman. Not a lot of meat on the bone for these ones today. It is the first round, after all. You don't have to force yourself into anything with these. They are very rough. You'd say you'd lean towards Rinderknech, but I don't fancy it. Look, his opponent, even though he hasn't done much all year, he is on a 2-game winning streak. He has had to come through qualifying for this tournament, and he's beat fairly decent enough opponents as well. Is that Enrique Rocha, the Portuguese lad, and then is that Thiago Monteiro? Yeah, they're decent enough on the surface against what I'm assuming, I could be wrong, but I'm assuming is that version of Rinderknech we seen last week. Punt on the dog, have a look at it over. I don't know. I don't feel right taking either one of them today. And then we'll finish up over in Kitzbuhel with Hugo Gaston and Norbert Gombos. Now, once again, you know me, I don't trust Hugo Gaston on the best of days. And I certainly don't trust him now. He's been a bit fucked, and he's a bit fucked up since the French Open. Just hasn't seemed to get back to winning ways. He's been struggling all year anyway, but even more so now. Even more so. He did manage to get past Seng in the first round. Was it Switzerland last week? It was one of them. Ran into Demir Juma. He took that first set, and then he just shot the rest of it away. He took the first one 6-4, and then got dealt a 6-2, and then another 6-2 to see him off. I'm just not convinced. Not convinced. I never really am with Hugo Gaston. As far as his opponent goes, it's mainly the challenger. It's mainly, this guy resides on the challenger, and he's done well. He's done well on the clay this year. I'll give him that. 23 wins, 13 losses. That's a hell of a lot more than what we could say for Hugo Gaston. That's for sure. 6 wins, 13 losses. That's rather shit. But 30 and 19 for Gombos on the year as well. 14 and 21 for Hugo Gaston, for those that care. I'd say the level of opponents in it, the challenger to the ATP Tour, even the ones that don't seem that great, there is quite a step up in the two. Gombos does seem to prefer the clay over anything else, so maybe that he's got that going for them for sure. I just couldn't deal with this one, even if I tried. Hugo Gaston, he gives me a migraine just trying to figure him out. He really does. He's a decent player. Don't get me wrong, he's a decent player when he wants to play well, but like I said, we've seen that on recently. He's on 3 wins in his last 10. Maybe this is just the level of opponent that's a little bit more easier for him to deal with. Gombos is outside the top 300 after all, so Hugo Gaston is within that top 100 only just. But we'll see how he gets on. We'll see how he gets on today. Very well then, folks, we will head on over to Croatia. I should have mentioned this before, but that one in Austria is one of the high altitude tournaments. It's a lot more on the quicker side of the clay courts as well. Compared to the one in Croatia, the night and day, you'll definitely see the difference. We're dealing with much more slower conditions today in Umag. So first off is Dino Prizmic, Elmer Moller. That's a tough one. They're both young. They're both decent on the clay. I think Dino has put in a much more better shift on the clay so far this year. 21 wins, 3 losses, got himself a couple of titles. Fantastic stuff there. He got himself a title in Zagreb over in, is that May? It was in May. He then won back-to-back titles. He went over to Bratislava, got himself a title there in June. Got to the final of another challenger tour over in Milan on the clay. Got beat by Cecchinato, and then he got to the semi-finals in San Marino last week. Won that match, got to the finals, but didn't end up playing it. Fantastic, rather fine fettle indeed. Elmer Moller, 21 and 10. It's still good. It's nowhere near as good as 21 and 3. You have to admit. It would have to be Dino. Just going off form alone. We've seen a little bit more from Elmer Moller the past couple of weeks. We've seen him in a tournament or two. Not much to split them. He's just got himself a title on the clay as well. Over in, is that Romania? Yeah, last week. He's had 2 titles on the clay as well this year. Challenger Tour titles, but doesn't really matter. I think looking at them, they're both more than capable of beating each other. I just think Dino has looked much more capable as a whole this season, so it would have to be him or not. On 1.6, not a bad price at all. And then next up, we've got Barrios, Nicholas Basilashvili. We discussed this the other day with Barrios, didn't we? I just can't go near him at the moment. He's looked well off it pretty much all season. 12 wins, 16 losses, 6 and 8 on the clay. That is not like the Spaniard. That is very far away from the Barrios that I know. How's he going to get on against the Georgian today? They've played each other 3 times before. look, last time out 2021, then 2018, 2015, so quite some time ago. Probably doesn't mean much coming in today, but Basilashvili has won all three of them. One on the clay, one on the grass, one on the hard court. He's a slight favourite in this too. Bayer did open up as the slightest of favourites. He is now becoming more and more of a dog as the hours go on, I imagine. I didn't look too great against Comesana. He did beat Carlos Taberner in the first round in Gaston. How much weight that holds, I'm not too sure. Basilashvili is currently on a 4-game losing streak, and he's becoming the favourite. It's a bit strange, quite concerning. Maybe that's testament to the rut that Bayer is currently in at the moment. If both of them turned up prime time, ready to go, full fitness, you'd be on the Spaniard every day of the week. But not only would history suggest that that'd be the wrong thing to do, but just based on what we've seen pretty much all year, I've seen nothing to suggest that Bayer is going to just snap out of it all of a sudden. Basilashvili does seem to be struggling as well since we've left the grass and come back onto the clay, but I don't really know what's going on with the price. I couldn't split these two. On the day, like I said, it would be the Spaniard 10 times out of 10 pretty much, but I don't think I can trust them. Let's see what the price goes to. I mean, it's somewhat split down the middle. Even though he's been in quite bad form, Basilashvili's been in quite bad form too. He hasn't been able to win a game since we've come onto the clay. So even still, maybe just lean towards Spaniard. Just hit and hope, bite the bullet. You know he's better. He's much more suited to the surface. But like I said, 6 and 8 this year. That's not very promising. That's also you pick your poison in that one, folks. Who have we got next? Dusan Lajovic and Atmane. This would be one of the very few times in the season that I'm going to say I'd be going with Dusan Lajovic on this one, folks. He tends to play well over here. He does tend to play well. Let's not forget he has won this. He's won this tournament before, back in 2019, quarterfinal 2021, quarterfinal last year, and I'm expecting him to go on quite a decent little run again. If I'm being honest with you, 18 and 13 on the clay this year. That's a lot better than what he's done anywhere else. 4 and 8 on the hard, 2 and 2 on the grass. What else is good for him too? Atmane, I mean, he doesn't really fancy himself on the clay. Evidently 2 and 3 this year. He's done most of his business over on the hard court. Most definitely prefers the quicker conditions. He tends to thrive in the pace, and I don't imagine you're going to get much of that over here today, over on this Croatian clay. He is on a 3-game losing streak. Got beat by Kamil Masharach over in Gaston in the first round last week. Dusan Lajovic is on a 2-game losing streak, but that's coming through qualifying to Wimbledon, and then the lucky loser game against, was it Billy Harris? Yeah, it was Billy Harris. So we haven't seen him transition back yet. But I usually say, don't I, when we deal with this guy, there's the occasional tournament dotted throughout the season, mainly on the clay, that Dusan Lajovic will most certainly thrive in, and this is most definitely one of them. Will I be taking him? It's the first round, so first round Dusan Lajovic doesn't sound very appealing to me, especially at 1.4. Seems kind of a price to pay. I'm just going to keep my eye on it, but I'm pretty certain he should be getting this one done. He's more than capable of doing so, much more suited to the surface, thrives on the surface as opposed to anywhere else. I think Dusan Lajovic would probably be the wise choice in that one. And then next up, dead quick, Barrios, Vera, Mariano Navone. How have we ended up with this one again? We literally seen this last week. Navone came in, straight sets, 7-5, 7-5, easy as you like. And the odds are pretty much similar on this. We're getting them at a better price, I think, 1.3. Give or take. Call it 1.3 for Navone. I'm not going to sit here and predict this one again. It was literally a couple days ago. 7-5, 7-5. We knew Navone had beat him. If you want to take him in straight sets, do as you please. Maybe it'll be tougher this time out. Surely not much is going to change. Within a week. Barrios Vera was last year in 2023, didn't even get through qualifying. Navone didn't get through the first round last year, just keep that in mind. 20 and 12 on the clay for the Argentine, 25 and 15 for the Chilean, isn't he? Yes, He is indeed. It's Navone, once again, just rinse and repeat. If he turns up and gets beat here, then I'll hold my hands up and say, oh, what the fuck, but I can't see it. Absolutely not. And then 2 more, we've got Jesper de Jong. And I'd just say his name, Millie Poljicak, something like that. He's got to be Polish. He's got to be Polish. Croatian. Okay, fuck me, I suppose. But anyway, Jesper de Jong, and then the Croatian, playing at home, going to have the home advantage, obviously. Is it going to do much for him on the day? I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, let's just see how Jesper de Jong's feeling after playing in the final. He did manage to take a set off Darderi over in Bastad yesterday, but ultimately didn't have enough on the day to see that one through. There's no shame in that. He's done very well. 6-4, 6-3, 6-3, that one finished. Now, you don't need me to tell you, even more so this season, I think Jesper de Jong has become accustomed to taking on much more difficult opponents than the one that stands before him today. I'd like to think so anyway. Rather quick turnaround indeed. Essentially 1 day. A 1 day turnaround. So is he going to be here? I'm not too sure. If he does turn up, how is he going to hold up? Once again, I am not too sure. You're getting the Croats here are about 3.4. 3.4. I'm not too sure about this. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know too much about him, folks, because quite frankly I don't. But he's been struggling on the Challenger Tour, and Jesper de Jong's been whipping ass over in the main draw, so I would have to lean with de Jong. 1.2 to 1.3, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Especially after the quick turnaround, I could not trust that. But you do with it what you will, and we will wrap it up over in Croatia with Carlos Taberner, Pierre Hughes-Herbert, good old lemon sherbet, he's back. Tough one to call. I'm kind of expecting a long one. In this. You're getting the Spaniard around 1.5. Now, we opened up at 1.7. Now it went to 1.5. Do I trust Carlos Taberner to get this one? I mean, I wouldn't call you crazy. I suppose you could expect him to get it done to some extent, but I don't know, man. I don't know. If he's going to win any games, it's most likely going to be on the clay. 28 wins, 15 losses on the surface. The Frenchman, 8 and 9. Although the Frenchman is much more suited to the indoor hard court. Let me just remind you, we probably remember anyway, but he hasn't done much on the clay. I won't lie to you. But he had a very, very close game against Joao Fonseca in the French Open, if you remember that. Fonseca came into that one 1.04, ended up taking 2 tie breaks and a 6-4. Now, okay, he got beaten straight sets, but that is pretty much as close as it's going to get. If you can give the likes of Fonseca a good go like that, you're clearly not as bad on the surface as what the record would suggest. I don't care what anyone says. Carlos Taberner does seem a lot more suited. I'm pretty sure he's got himself a title or 2 this season. Let me just double check. Yeah, he got himself a title earlier on in Spain. No surprise there. He probably wins this one too. I'm not picking it with much conviction. I would like Pierre Hughes to keep this one close. We know how he plays. Ultimately, it's just serve volley. Serve volley. If you can get your serve off and volley the shit out of him, I'd imagine he's able to keep it close. But 1.5 to 1.6, maybe that's just correct. Maybe that's correct where it's sitting right now. I'm not so sure. This really is a first round match if we've ever seen one. I'm just going to sit off this. I imagine there's much more appealing matches to touch on once we head over to the States. So you do with that one what you will, folks. Very well, folks. We will finish off over in Washington. Very well, folks. We shall finish up over in Washington. There's still a couple coming through from qualifying, so I do apologise for the odd few that I've missed. But first off for us is going to be Ethan Quinn, Christopher O'Connell. Should be interesting. I'd probably just lean with Ethan Quinn on this one. I haven't seen Christopher O'Connell or Ethan Quinn since Wimbledon. Safe to say, I think we've seen a little bit more from the American, and what we have seen has probably been a little bit more promising than what we've had from the Australian this season. 14 wins, 20 losses for O'Connell, 10 of them coming on the hard court, 10 wins, 7 losses And then Ethan Quinn, 16-7 on the hard court, 11-6 on the clay, 3-2 indoors, 4-3 on the grass. Just a fairly solid level. Sometimes that's all you need to get by. These are ranked very close to each other now. 82 for the American, 77 for O'Connell. Now just be aware, Christopher O'Connell is no joke, especially on the hard court. He is much more seasoned than the American, 10 years older than Ethan Quinn. So I would imagine Christopher O'Connell on the day possesses more than enough to deal with this guy. I think with it being in Washington, it'll just give him that little something extra that he needs to get this one by. I mean, I'd probably side with Ethan Quinn anyway, even if we weren't in the States, but this opened up around 1.75. I've currently got Ethan Quinn on Betfair around 1.56. Now, I don't know whether that's just because we're in the States or not, but, I'll let you decide. You can make your own mind up on that. Christopher O'Connell is coming off of a 4-game losing streak. Will he snap back into form? Now we're back on the hard court. I don't see any better time than now. But like I say, Ethan Quinn, it doesn't really seem to matter what surface we're playing on. He seems to be good enough. I'd fancy him to just edge this one out. We could be looking at an over in this one, if I'm being honest. But we'll sure find out. It's the first round after all. We'll wait and see. And then we've got Dan Evans and Zizou Bergs. I'm looking at it, and you want to go with Zizou Bergs. I suppose the obvious choice would just have to be Zizou Bergs, right? I suppose you'd have to go for him in this one. I ain't been that impressed ever since that run that he went on in Den Bosch. He ain't been too great. But now we're back on the hard court, and he definitely plays his best tennis on the surface, if you'd ask me. Dan Evans, man, I mean, 2 wins, 4 losses on the hard court. That's not that great. That is not that great whatsoever. 12-7 for Zizou Bergs. Around 1.5, is that 1.6, 1.5? It's very tempting. It is very tempting. It's a tough one with Zizou Bergs. Sometimes you see him play 10 times better than what you ever expected, and just when you expect him to do good, he'll get beat by the likes of a Dan Evans. Thing is with Dan Evans as well, I mean, he's crafty enough. He's been around the block quite a few times, enough times to be able to beat someone like Zizou Bergs on the day, providing you give him a chance. And I feel like Zizou Bergs definitely gives people a chance, don't he? He can't help himself sometimes. Like I said, he ain't been playing that great as of late, but I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt and just say it's because we come off the hard court. He weren't too bad on the clay. It was nothing to write home about. Like I say, he got to the final in Den Bosch, and then currently on a 4-game losing streak. Catching off Fonseca, and then that game against Lloyd Harris in Wimbledon. Very disappointing indeed. I feel like sometimes Zizou Bergs definitely gets it in his own head. 100%. There's remnants of what Rublev does within Zizou Bergs, 100%. Can I trust him in this? I feel like if you can't trust him to get past Dan Evans in the first round, you're probably not going to want to trust him if he does get through and then deeper into the tournament, you know what I mean? So if there's ever a time, I'd say it's now to go with Zizou Bergs. 1.5, 1.6, it's fine. It's fine enough. If he turns up and looks like absolute arse, then it is what it is. You're more than aware of the risk with that one. And we've got Nishioka, Jensen Brooksby. Should be fairly quick. Now look, on the day, this should be very, very tricky for either one. More so Jensen Brooksby. They've played each other twice before. Nishioka has won both of them on the hard court. Not since 2022. A lot has certainly changed since then. For both of these, we've seen quite the resurgence in Jensen Brooksby so far this season. More so on the grass. He tends to have put in the best shift on the clay and on the grass. 3 and 4 on the hard court is not too great. Not too great at all. Doesn't fill me full of confidence, but a bit of solace for the American in this one. It's Nishioka. And never mind winning games, this guy can barely finish one. He can barely finish one. He has won one of his last 10. Just one of his last 10, dating back to the start of Feb, and that was Alexander Vukic in Delray Beach. That's it's not looking good. It's not looking good, to say the least, for Nishioka. How can you trust that? How can you trust that? Even the games that he does make it through, it's looking like he just doesn't stand a chance. Jensen Brooksby 1.3. That's very steep. That is ridiculously steep. But maybe that's just going to be reflective of how this match is going to go. I am pretty much fully expecting Jensen Brooksby to get this one done. There's just been nothing. There's been nothing all season that to suggest that Nishioka's just going to snap out of this rut that he's in. 9 wins, 11 losses. You know, Jensen Brooksby 19 and 15. I mean, thing is with Nishioka, he has racked up more wins on the hard court surface than Jensen Brooksby so far this season. So if he's ever going to get one, I imagine more than likely he'll probably win a couple from now towards the end of the season. This could be one, but I wouldn't be willing to roll the dice on it. I think Brooksby should be able to get this one done. If you can't back these guys in the home country, then I don't know when you're going to trust them. I really don't. 1.3 for Brooksby, absolutely not. But I am expecting him to get that one done. And we've got Benjamin Bonzi and Fabian Marozsan. It's gonna take a lot for me to trust Benjamin Bonzi again after that Jordan Thompson match over in Wimbledon. I weren't really impressed with either of these in Wimbledon, to be honest with you. Neither one have set the tour alight this year. 15 and 7 for the Frenchman, 20 and 17 for Fabian Marozsan. A little bit more efficient, done most of the damage on the clay. 6 and 6 on the hard court for Marozsan, 9 and 7 for Benjamin Bonzi. I think he does most of his work indoors, like the majority of these French players. Odds are pretty close, 1.7 for Fabian Marozsan. I kind of expected that. I think he's got a little bit more versatility to his game, but as we've seen with Benjamin Bonzi, man, he's very, very robotic. Not in a bad way, but he's got decent fundamentals when it works for him. You know, when he serves well, he can be very tough to play against. He could definitely beat a Fabian Marozsan today, 100%. If the surface suits him, I would not be that surprised to see Benjamin Bonzi pull this one off. He's got some decent wins in the bag, he has, but I ain't seen it this year. I need to see more, I do. He looked a lot more promising towards the end of last season. I expected a lot coming into this one. Just ain't really cut it. Ain't really cut it for me. Like most of them, it's hard to tell when they're going to play good or when they're not. You kind of have to see them play well in order to assume that they're going to keep it up in the next match. But I can't wait to watch this one. Maybe lean towards an over, but then again, would you be surprised if either one just shot this away like 6-3, 6-2? Probably not, right? Probably not. I think Bonzi's a lot more suited to the hard court than what he is anywhere else. I imagine he'll give Fabian Marozsan a very good go. Maybe look at the total games played. Maybe look at an over. I couldn't tell you who's going to win. Bonzi for a set, he should be good for one set. I would be surprised if Fabian Marozsan turned up and just dusted him in straights. But I don't know. It's just food for thought. And then we've got a couple more. We've got Matteo Arnaldi and Daniel Altmaier. Once again, this is similar to well, not really similar. Forget it. Actually, I'm talking shite. You'd want to go with Matteo Arnaldi. You would want to go with Matteo Arnaldi, but I ain't seen anything from this guy pretty much all season too. 15 wins, 15 losses. It's a little bit below par for what I expect from Matteo Arnaldi. I won't lie to you. 6 and 6 on the hard court, 2 and 1 indoors. Now Daniel Altmaier, as we say all the time, we take him off the clay. You don't know what you're gonna get. No doubt, he has made some significant improvements on all the surfaces over the past few years, but is it going to be enough to get past Matteo Arnaldi on the day? I'm not too sure. He's got himself a couple of decent wins. I mean, decent enough on the surface anyway. Like we said, does the majority of the damage on the clay. I don't know. Matteo Arnaldi, 3-game losing streak. He was crap in Wimbledon. First round exit to Botic, Van der Sandschulp. And then, I'm struggling to think when, was it Madrid? Rome or Madrid? Yeah, it was Madrid. He went on a decent run in Madrid, getting to the quarterfinals before he ran into Jack Draper. And apart from that, there's just been a win and a loss, 2 wins and a loss. He's just been teetering on the edge of bang averageness. to be honest with you. Daniel Altmaier, we've seen a lot more from him, but the record is quite similar, 25, 22, you know, that's a bit, I'd say it's a bit average too. It's not bad, but it is quite 50-50, you know, to be honest with you. I think Daniel Altmaier is another one. Give him the chance, he could definitely spring an upset on what appears to be a rather out of form Matteo Arnaldi. It seems to have been quite a while since he's been playing good. I know on the day he should be able to beat Daniel Altmaier on this surface, but like I said with the last one, I kind of need to see Matteo Arnaldi play well to know that he's probably going to play well for the rest of the tournament. So this could be an over. This could be an over. You know, we could be sitting here tomorrow and going, oh my God, Matteo Arnaldi just munched on him. Is that a surprise? Probably not. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And we've got two more. Got Gio and Pecci Pericard. Alexander Vukic. Now, this is a rough one. I'd probably go with Gio. If I had to pick this, I would probably go with Giovanni and Pecci Pericard, although I would not be picking it with a lot of conviction. 13 and 14 on the season. It's not too great, but it's much better than 13 and 23 for Alexander Vukic. More importantly, 3 wins, 9 losses on the hard court. Now, this is most definitely Vukic's preferred surface, so to see him go 3 and 9 on the season is rather worrying indeed. Gio's not much better, 5 and 5. He tends to go on a decent run every now and then. He kind of plateaus, kind of sits in a shit bit of form, then he'll go on a decent run, snap out of form, go on a decent run. It's just it's hard to gauge when he's going to play well. 3-game losing streak, he's currently won 5 of his last 10. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. That is very, very much like Gio. Same with Vukic as well, he's won 5 of his last 5, but I don't know. I just couldn't trust this guy. I don't trust Gio that much, but we know what we're going to get from him. We know exactly what we're going to get. Providing he turns up, providing all goes well, you are not going to be able to retain what this guy has got on his service games. And that goes for most of them. We've seen many try, and we've seen many fail. I think Vukic is no exception. He won't be able to do fuck all with them serves, with the power of Gio. But the same with Vukic, he can serve well too. He can serve hard, he can serve fast. So maybe it's just going to be an over. Maybe an over spot. I'd say a tiebreaker, but Vukic has been well off the boil. It's hard to know what version of either one of these is going to turn up. I'd say the wise choice probably would be to lean towards an over or a total games played. You see either one winning in straight sets, it's probably going to be Gio winner. If he can just hold his serve, I imagine Vukic will have enough unforced errors or just errors in general in his game, just like we've seen all season, to see himself out. So I'd probably lean with the big Frenchman in that. And then let's wrap this shit up with Tien and Emilio Nava. I do apologise that this is a bit late. I had to wait for this fucking order of play to come out in Washington. Is this a trap? Is anyone got the feeling that they want to have a little sprinkle on Emilio Nava based on what we've just seen last week in Mexico? Let me know in the comments. I'm not too sure about this one. I can never seem to get it right with Tien. He's turned up and absolutely smoked people who I thought he stood no chance against, and then he turns up against people who I think, yeah, he's got it in the bag, and he gets fucking manhandled. He's very, very hard to get a read on. You know, this guy will get beat by Nishioka. He'll get beat by Brandon Nakashima, but he'll take out Ben Shelton. It's like I say, it's the way of the Tien. Is he much more? I'd say he's much more accomplished. Well, the more accomplished of the Americans in this spot, no doubt. 67th in the world, 123 for Emilio Nava. Although that may have changed after Los Cabos, I'm not too certain. You're getting Tien around 1.55, something like that. Call it 1.55, 1.6. Doesn't really look like people can decide what to put the money on here, and I don't blame them. It's got an All-American shootout, haven't we? Got ourselves an All-American shootout. Is it going to be close? I imagine both of them will not want to roll over and lay down here. I'd probably have to go with Lena Tien, just off what I've seen. I mean, Emilio Nava did give Rublev a really good go, but I don't know. I don't want to read into that too much. Lena Tien last time out got beat by Nicholas Jarry in straight sets over in Wimbledon. I think we're back on the hard court. He'll be grateful for that. Definitely his preferred surface, whereas Emilio Nava, we know he does all the damage on the clay. The 2 wins that he got in Mexico last week are the only 2 wins that he's got on the hard court all year. So for me to trust him in this, I don't think I can. It would probably have to be Lena Tien in this one, folks. And I think that is going to do us. I'm not too sure what I'm going for today. I might just sit on a couple outrights or something that is the first round. If there's anything pinned, it's pinned. If it's not, it's not. But I'll be saying good night to you. Sorry it's a late one, once again. But I appreciate you watching. As always, you mean a lot to me. Like and subscribe, yeah. Take it easy. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another, most importantly. Let me know what you're going for. Best of luck to you. Enjoy the tennis today. And I will see you all tomorrow.